There's no other word for this other than to say that shit has absolutely hit the fan with this game called Old Royale High Lobbies that was wiped from Roblox a couple days ago. And I want to talk to you guys about it because I know a lot of you guys probably played this game or really liked it. So let's talk about it because there's a lot of drama going on with this. Now, full disclosure, I got this as a video suggestion from somebody on my Discord server. I don't know if they're associated with the situation or how they know so much about it, but they sent me a bunch of information that I thought was very interesting. They asked not to be named though, so out of respect for them, I won't be naming them. But if you guys do want to go ahead to my Discord server and recommend any video, you can do so with the link in the description below. And also, because of how messy this situation is and how there's so many different narratives going around, I want to be very clear, I'm not picking sides, I'm not siding with any one person. I make these videos for you guys to hear about a situation and then to do your own research to make your own informed opinions. This is just me talking about it, but I don't agree with either side. I'm not siding with anybody, just to be clear. With that out of the way and all that yapping done, basically this game is called Old Royale High and it was made in January of 2021, and basically the goal of the game was for it to become a sort of almost nostalgic game where you could see old versions of Royale High lobbies like the Wink School, and back when Royale High wasn't really what it is today. It was just a smaller game, and what all of us really know and love about Royale High, like when we started playing it and the game was a lot smaller, it's basically those kind of maps from the game. Now, this game itself has 10 million visits, so it wasn't a small game. This is a very, very popular game. Now, something that I've seen a lot of controversy surrounding this game and that I have actually heard of before this whole situation happened was players accusing this game of copying Royale High. Now, I'm going to be fair, I do think there's a fine line between fan remakes of a game and a game copying another game. And as we get into this, the owner or somebody part of the game, I don't quite know, it's kind of blurred who is who in the situation, but somebody who was part of the development team for this game does confirm that they did actually take certain scripts from Royale High, which I definitely don't agree with. I think it's one thing to be passionate about a game and to want to serve the community and bring back nostalgia and to remember something that was really great and amazing, but it's definitely something else to blatantly steal from another game. Now, they word it as they were given to them, these scripts and stuff, which I don't know. Personally, if I owned a multi-million-dollar game, I would not be giving out my scripts to random people, but I don't know. I honestly don't know the whole background to that, but that's just an important thing to keep in mind here, that there's been some controversy for a while that this game is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I personally thought it was a good thing because it's like, wow, like I can like experience Old Royale High, but at the same time I did understand that, hey, like they said they remade all these assets, but there are some Royale High assets that have been remade and uploaded to the toolbox so people can just use them. So I'm not quite sure how this works with, you know, copyright and stuff, but we'll go over that. So basically, I found out about the situation when this person sent me a screenshot of the game, which you'll hear me clicking around because I have lots of tabs open, but this game, it says this experience is set to private, and in the description, it says, no, Old Royale High did not get copyrighted. We will address everything on our socials and one last time in our Discord server. It's time you realize the Royale High community is toxic and there will always be people who try to take you down or hurt you. Do not let these people get to you. Old Royale High will hopefully be back better than ever, not promised. Now, I tried finding their Discord server, couldn't find it. I searched it, I looked at this profile, I could not find the Discord server, and then when I went to this person, Moonlight Grande, I think is how you say it, their Roblox profile, it says it's not available. So I don't know if they're banned or they disabled their profile, no idea, but I couldn't find the Discord server. And what's also important to note is that in the description down here, it also says this is a non-profit, fan-made game inspired by Royale High, featuring content from 2017 to 2019. We are not affiliated with Call Me Bob or the Royale High team. All rights belong to them, and we will remove the game if requested. Now, I do have some opinions about this. Can I say for sure? No, I'm just speculating, but I don't, how do you define a non-for-profit game? Because maybe you're not selling things in the game, but you get something called premium payouts where you literally make money from people joining the game and just for spending time in the game. And when you're hosting a game, which maybe has good intention, right? It's not meant to be malicious, but you're hosting a game that is a blatant reproduction with some stolen assets that they confirmed from a larger game, right? That kind of undermines the effort that the larger game put into making an original game concept, and you're kind of just like taking it and putting it back out there. I think that's nice for some players, and I definitely did appreciate it, but at the same time, saying it's not for profit, yeah, you're not necessarily selling things, but you are still making money from DevX, from premium payouts, and from people joining your game. I'm sure it's not astronomical amounts, but with 10 million visits, you probably made at least some money, right? So I don't know if not for profit is like the right word here. I guess they meant that they aren't selling things for the game, but they were still making Robux and potentially DevXing that into real life money. That's just a well-known fact. Like you can do that with any game, regardless of the size. So I'm not sure if nonprofit is the right word here, but anyways. And again, like I said, the owners Roblox profile, when I click on it, it says it's not available. So I don't know what's going on there. But then I went to Twitter and I found this post, which the person in the Discord server did link to me, and it's by Royal History, this page, and it says, sad news, old Royale High lobbies was completely stolen by an exploiter, forcing the game to shut down completely. The game will return soon. Thank you, Moonlight, Bon, I think is how I say that, Logs, and everyone else who worked so hard to give us the nostalgia we wanted. Now, this is where we get into like some like messy territory. I'm gonna be so for real. It gets kind of messy here. It more so has to do with the word stolen by an exploiter. There's some kind of rhetoric going on between these two different groups where some people are saying, how can you steal something that was already stolen from a larger game? Because some people categorize this game, this remake, as being stolen. I don't know if I agree with that, but I do understand how if you've taken assets, and they confirm this in a document that I'll read in a second here, but if you've taken some scripts from a larger game that don't belong to you and you're using them in your game, I don't feel like then you necessarily have the right to be super upset if somebody else makes a remake. Again, I'm not really this is very kind of like a convoluted situation where stuff is just not clear. It's not clear who's who. It's not clear what's going on. And a lot of stuff is obviously missing. There's context missing here. But attached to this is a quote tweet from this person called Mornick, I think is how I say it. Again, if I'm mispronouncing anything, I'm very sorry. But they said, hi, PR manager here, so the public relations manager. The game was recently completely stolen and was forced to shut down due to someone exploiting everything. It is best that we will be patient and wait for everything to roll over. Hopefully the game will return bigger and better. We apologize for the inconvenience. So here this person, the PR manager, saying the game is completely stolen. Again, people are debating, can a game that's copied from another game be stolen? I don't know. But I definitely understand if they remade assets and the assets were taken, that would be annoying. But it says that the game will be back and whatever. But then from this, there was a response from somebody who screenshotted something on Discord. And I don't really know who this person is, I'm going to be honest. But this person, which I'm going to go back, you'll hear me clicking. But this Lucas guy says, it's Moon digging his own grave. The exploiter was doing the right thing. And then attached this Discord message. I'm going to be so for real. I'm really confused on who is who. I don't understand like the whole what's going on. So if any of you guys can clarify in the comment section, I would appreciate that. But they attached a screenshot of this person by the name of, I think Zillion is how you say it. Again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. But I think this person was the exploiter potentially, because it says exploiter is doing the right thing and then attached this screenshot. So I'm not sure, but I will read this to you guys. And keep in mind, there is some bad words, so I will be kind of like censoring myself. But it says, my statement about the Moonlight Grande situation. I want to take a moment to address some of the issues surrounding Moonlight Grande. Over time, there has been multiple instances where she's been racist, disrespectful towards her own developers, and has taken ideas or assets from smaller games. Want to clarify? I'm not sure if this is true or not. I looked into it. There's back and forth. Like I haven't seen anybody being like, this is stolen from here, this is stolen from here. Like there's no like exact black and white document that I can find. So this is speculation in my opinion. I'm not sure. I would invite you guys to go look into this on your own. But then they go on to say, and also some people are saying that Moon is a he, some are saying it's a she. I'm not sure. I'll just use they, them out of respect. I'm not sure. Then they go on to say, has taken assets from smaller games. It's also been reported that she used exploits to DEX games. I don't know what this means. Maybe I'm stupid. I'm so sorry. I'm assuming that means like stealing stuff. I'm not sure though. Please let me know in the comment. But then it goes on to say, which is against Roblox's rules and deeply unfair to other creators who work hard to make their original content. So that's why I think this is probably like DEX means stolen. And I do agree that if you're taking things from other creators, whether that's proven or not, regardless, if you take things from other creators, it's not fair to them. I agree with what this person's saying. Somebody obviously worked hard on something to get an original concept. And yeah, it can be fan-made, but I don't know. I think saying it's not for profit when you technically are making profit from people joining the game, I don't know. This is a very sticky situation. Then this person goes on to say, how are we going to get mad when it happens to you and have a crash out and shut down the whole game? Mind you, your guilt tripping is also insane. You've already been exposed and you're still trying to guilt trip people. Please stop looking crazy. I'm going to be honest, this statement started out really professional and then this part was a little bit rough, but again, I'm not sure who to believe. Honestly, usually I have like a pretty black and white like opinion on stuff, but this is like it's hard to pick a side because there's so much to this. Then the next part of their statement goes on to say, on top of that, she's been known to ignore her fanbase and give very limited creative freedom to the people working on older Royale High lobbies. Many in the community have felt overlooked or dismissed despite their passion and support for the game. The fact that you own that big of a game and half your community came in this server and most don't like you anymore shows what type of person you are. Do we need to bring in that people don't like somebody? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like a personal blow, but I can understand maybe that plays into this person's character and that's what this person is trying to relay to us. But if I think, let's leave personal stuff out of it and just address like the actions, because that would hurt my feelings if someone was saying I was a bad person, everybody hates me. But like, you know what I mean? Then this person goes on to say, if none of this were true, old Royale High lobbies wouldn't be shut down the way they were. The situation speaks for itself, and it's disappointing to see how much damage has been done to both fans and fellow developers. This statement sounds spot on to me. You know, a lot of people are speculating that the reason the game was shut down, and what the public relations person says that it's because of like an exploiter. They're exploiting things. This person is claiming that, you know, because the game was getting copied and people were, I guess, they hacked the game and took assets from it. I'm not quite sure, but that to do damage control, they just took the game off Roblox so people can't continue doing that. I'm not quite sure. I feel like I wish there was just a document or something I could look at that would give me the information, because this is just so like scattered all over Twitter. But definitely interesting, because I do think to a degree, if you're making a fan-made game, and you know, the other thing too is like, I understand you want to have your game, you want to be like, wow, like I made this, like I'm so proud of it. But at the same time, if the game isn't for profit, then why does it matter if someone's copying it? Because you say the game isn't for profit. So typically when people copy games, it's to make money, right? No, people aren't just going to like copy a massive game just for shits and giggles. Like it's for a purpose. And so I think if your game isn't for profit, yeah, maybe you like people visiting it, but why does it matter if people are then playing a different game? Right? Because it's not for profit. So people can just join the game and enjoy it for the nostalgia and maybe join another game too, but it's not going to impact anything really, because again, you said your goal isn't to make profit. So that's where I'm like, that's just kind of the disconnect in my head and where I'm kind of confused. Then this person goes on to say, this isn't about hate or fame, it's about accountability. The old Royale High lobbies community deserves to know what the creator of their game played, what the creator of the game they played was like. Next time, don't have your executors in your scripts and keep your developers in check. One thing happened, they just dropped everything about you. Laughing emoji. I'm not a scripter. I'm not into coding and stuff, so I don't know what half this stuff means. I'm so sorry. But it just sounds like, I guess, something happened, then people that worked for the game just spilled the beans. I'm not quite sure. And then this person goes on to say, all this was written by me, Zillion, I think is how I say it. Moonlight Grande, yes, what you have done is insane, and then you expect that you wouldn't get caught. Please log the F out. It's also insane how your developers are ratting you out for the way you treat them. Also, the fact that you brought your, quote, supporters into the server, more than half turn on you is insane. My proof will come out on you by tomorrow. Just let the statement get out there, and I will haunt you, B-word. XOXOX. Definitely a very strong sign-off. But I guess from what I understand, like, again, this stuff is so scattered, it's very confusing, but it sounds like, I guess, this person, like, this must have come from a server, and I guess Moonlight Grande's fan base came into the server to, I guess, like, raid it or something, is what I'm understanding from this, and it kind of backfired to, again, what I understand. And then there's like lots of comments under this of people saying, this Bond person, which I'm not sure this is the same person who is in the development team, says this isn't true in the slightest. So I honestly don't know. Now, there is another document, and this document was quoted in the tweet of like the original tweet about like why the game was shut down. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure what this is about, like who this is written by. I'm thinking this is by the Moonlight Grande, but I'm like looking, and again, this is just so confusing. So I'm trying to understand what's going on, and you know, who is who and what's going on. And this document doesn't even have a name, so I'm not sure who wrote it, what it's about, but I will read it to you guys. I'm assuming this is Moonlight Grande, but I'm not sure. It says, hello everyone, I'm sure you're all aware of the current situation with old Royale High lobbies and how another game leaked the scripts in a public Discord chat while also making a lot of pretty big accusations against me or the game. This makes me think this was written by Moonlight Grande. I'm not sure. I won't drag this on too long since I'm currently writing from my phone at 5 a.m. So I'll simply debunk every allegation at first, then I'll get into some personal things I've been struggling behind the scenes, not to sympathize or anything, just to give you a full image of the entire situation. Sorry in advance if the doc has some errors, since English isn't my first language. My god. With me slurring my words, it sounds like English isn't my first language. My goodness. Sorry. Anyways. So yeah, this makes me think this is Moonlight Grande. They're talking about the situation and how they're going to debunk the allegations. And I am going to be really transparent. There's a section here about some pretty serious stuff, some images. I'm not going to read that. I think it would be too hard to censor it for YouTube, and also I don't necessarily want to like show that. If you guys want, you can find the document, read it yourself. But I guess there's like this screenshot, and this person by Char for Lifer, which Ariana Grande profile picture slay. But they say, today at 1:29 a.m., I received this DM from someone telling me that Char for Lifer person has claimed to be an ex-developer and that I've been racist towards them, called them the N-word, etc. If you couldn't tell by how this message was made by ChatGPT, it's pretty easy to figure out that. Also, I've never spoken to this person in my life, and their claim that they worked on recreating Autumn Town is a complete lie, since there were 3 deaths ever since 2023, and I haven't hired anyone new since 2022, the last person being at Bonix/Spawn. And then they show a screenshot of this message by this Char person that says, I used to be dev for some of the old Royale High lobbies. Back when the game was still building its foundation, I put in a lot of time and effort, scripts, builds, ideas, things that helped shape what players loved about those early versions, but I never got paid for any of it. Moonlight Grande, the owner, completely took advantage of me, ignored the work I did, and treated me like shit once everything started taking off. I stuck around hoping things would get better, or at least got some credit, but that never happened. People should know how unfair things were behind the scenes. Moon also called me the N-word, I'm Latina, and fired me after I disagreed to finish making Autumn Town, which is why the realm is cancelled. Now, for those of you that don't know, I guess earlier in the situation, they announced that they were not going to be doing the Halloween Realm remake for this year or something like that, and this is why Char claims that happened. Now, there's another thing here where it says, why are you lying? Who are you, though? And I guess this is Moonlight Grande, I guess. Them trying to send a message to this Char person. And said it couldn't be delivered, usually because you don't share a server with this recipient, so I guess they just wouldn't let it go through. And I'm wondering, though, like, why is the account deleted? I guess maybe they used a spam account to reach out to this Char person, but I'm just like, why is this account deleted? That's one of the questions I had while I was reading this. And again, another Ariana Grande profile picture. Then Bond says, yeah, I was thinking to do big splits in server storage. And this thing says, Autumn Town looks 10 times better than before. It looks so real. And they go on to say, the next allegation thrown at me is that I went into Royale High and, quote, hacked the wheel script to add it to my game. And I'll take accountability and say this is half true, but I wasn't the one who got it. Someone else sent it to me back in 2023, a file that contained a few of Royale High's screen GUI scripts, which I wasn't involved in exploiting anything. They were just simply given to me. And I haven't used them until November 2024. It'll be the only scripts inside old Royale High lobbies that actually were from Royale High were the wheel, sprint button, hide/show, sidebar, and phone UI script that were already bugged to begin with. All of their scripts were made by Logs, the scripter. Now, although these scripts aren't like super massive to the game, in my opinion, they don't seem like that significant to the gameplay itself. The whole, guys, I didn't steal it. Someone gave it to me. That's like saying, oh guys, I didn't steal this credit card, but I found it in the ground, so I used it. It's like, I'm not trying to be mean, but I do think like this is kind of like, they're trying to use a logical fallacy here to be like, oh, I didn't personally do it, I just found it, so by default, I had to use it. Kind of a thing, which I don't think is fair. I think it's admirable that you want to make a remake of Royale High and bring back the nostalgia. I can appreciate that as an old Royale High player, but I don't think it's fair to just, someone else exploited a script, so you're like, yeah, well, it's here, so might as well use it. I don't think that's fair. I think that's definitely wrong. And I do appreciate them taking accountability and saying, yeah, we did that, because a lot of people will probably just say, no, that's not true. And so Moonlight does say that they took it. I think it's admirable that they were honest, but to begin with, they just shouldn't have used it, in my opinion, and that's just my opinion. Now, on the next page, and then I guess, yeah, they're showing when the zip files came out for like and then it says here, this is where I'm like kind of confused. It's because in the screenshot that they showed of when they got the scripts, it says, sure, gonna send them as a zip file. You know how to extract them, ? You may need to download WinRAR. I don't know what that is, but they have this Royale High zip and then copied Roblox maps and something's maybe server or shop. That's where I'm a little bit confused, because I'm like, okay, also 237 megabytes is kind of a big zip, I don't know, but they have this file, so it tells me there's a lot of stuff in it, and then it says copied Roblox maps, which makes me think it's copied Royale High maps potentially, maybe, but it's only 12 megabytes, so I'm not quite sure. But I definitely do think it's interesting, the names of these files, because I don't know, I feel like it would have just said scripts in it instead of just like maps, but that's just me speculating. Then it goes on to the section about topics that I'm not going to discuss on YouTube because it's just too inappropriate for the channel. And then it goes on to say, I hoped I've cleared every allegation thrown against me. If I missed, please damn me on Discord. Now I'm going to talk about some of my struggles I've had for the past 2 to 3 years developing this game. Trigger warning, mental health, eating issues, thoughts. For the past 3 years, I've been struggling a lot to keep this game fun and good for everyone. It's been really hard on me. I can agree, I'm sure it's been hard, especially when you have such a large remake game that you're managing. I've started dealing with things like social anxiety, an eating problem, and even thoughts of not wanting to be here anymore. I lost most of my real life friends because I was always on my computer working on old Royale High lobbies almost every day and night. My mom would make food for me, but I couldn't eat sometimes. There were nights I stayed up the whole night, the whole time, trying to finish something, drinking big cups of coffee with milk, caramel, and a lot of sugar. It wasn't healthy at all. The good thing is that things are getting better now. Since May, I've started getting help, going to the gym every day, eating better, and gaining my weight back. After 5 months, I can honestly say I've never felt better. I feel like a new person. I'm finally starting to feel like my old self again. I know this might sound a bit personal, but I want to be honest for once because I think it's the right time to share it. I can empathize. Again, this is kind of similar to other situations I've talked about where I can empathize with mental health struggles and stuff like that. And I understand it sounds like this game was quite a big burden on this person, and I can empathize with, not eating and drinking caffeine, because that's been something that I personally struggled with, where I will just drink a ton of energy drinks and not eat. But I don't, like they said, this is the right time to share it. I don't know if when you're getting, quote, exposed or like allegedly exposed for something, I don't know if that's the right time to share your eating issues and thoughts. I think it's valid to feel that way, and I'm not saying that it's not valid, but it just seems like kind of weird timing to me. Like, they're accusing me of this, guys, but also I've been having like a hard time eating. It's like, well, I empathize with that. It's great you're reaching out for help and you're doing better, but is this the right time to share it? In my opinion, no. I think they took accountability for some things in the statement. They're refuting other things. I think that should be it. You don't have to bring the personal stuff into it. Again, I empathize with it. I think it's valid to feel that way, but to bring it into a situation where you're being allegedly exposed, almost use it as a sort of like, I wouldn't say cushion, because I don't feel like that's necessarily what they're doing here, as opposed to other situations I've discussed, but it definitely is just kind of bizarre to me to bring in personal struggles when you're talking about allegations against you that are somewhat serious in nature. But that's just my 2 cents. Don't take it as gospel. And then the final section, they write aftermath. After thinking about this for a long time, there are only 2 options. Either restart it with new systems, scripted by us 100%, not 80%, or quit the game and close a chapter of our lives. And truthfully speaking, I'm thinking of just quitting, since I don't have a single dime out of the game anyway. I'm not looking forward to rot in my gaming chair. Yes, it sucks that our systems got leaked by some loser who's jealous, but I don't care anymore. This really isn't a top priority for me anymore. What's with the name calling, guys? There's name calling on the other side, and then on this side too. You can disagree. Do you need to call each other B-words and losers? I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know. I definitely think you're allowed to be upset with people, but name calling just kind of makes it silly, and both sides are doing it, so I'm not just saying one side. But and it's interesting here that they say that scripted by us 100%, not 80%, and that's where I'm confused, right? Because I don't know how many scripts were in this game. To be fair, like, I'm not a scripter. I have no concept of that, or how big scripts are and stuff like that. But they're saying here that the game was 80% scripted by them. So that means 20% was, quote, stolen, right? So they claimed it was the wheel, the sprint button, the menu thing, and like the phone UI or something like that, something along those lines, right? I don't think that makes up 20% of the entire game's scripts, in my opinion. Like, that seems like a really tiny portion. So I'm not sure if there's other stuff that were maybe taken, or maybe they just, estimated wrong here. But I do think it's interesting that they're saying now 20% of the total game was not theirs. And sure, yes, you made 80% of the game, but at the end of the day, the 80% was replicated from a pre-existing game with original ideas that was then recopied by your team, right? And so is it fair to be upset and say that our stuff got leaked by some loser? Well, what leaked implies that it was a secret, that this stuff was secret, it was unique, it was original, it was your property. But in my opinion, stuff that is copied, whether or not it was copied by hand or taken from a game, it's still copied. So was it really yours to begin with? I don't know, right? Like, stuff, example, like a pumpkin, that can't be copied. That's just an object. It's a typical thing. People will see a typical thing to be in games. But when you have stuff like the phone menu, or you have stuff like the castle, or the dorms, or certain assets like halos, accessories, body morphs, stuff like that, that's copied. That's not your property. That's not your intellectual property. And so legally speaking, you don't have any right to that. So I think it's unfair to categorize that as someone being jealous, so they leaked it. What was there to leak? It wasn't yours to begin with, you know what I mean? So that's just kind of where I'm struggling here, because I can understand you remade this game with the intention of bringing back Old Royale High, and I can appreciate that as someone who played Old Royale High. But I don't think it's necessarily fair to be upset that somebody else is then taking stuff from your game to make another game when you did the same thing to Royale High, according to 20%. of your game was taken from Royale High. So that's just kind of where I'm like, I feel a little bit conflicted here, because I can empathize. This person's had a hard time. They obviously put a lot of effort into the game, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, you know, like, it's not necessarily like a revolutionary brand new game that's never existed before. It was taken from another game with the intention of it being a good thing, but then you can't necessarily be super mad when somebody else does the same thing, regardless if it was stolen from your game, because you did that to another game. So it's kind of like, it's just coming full circle. Does that mean that the name calling and the mean words and the quote apparently false allegations are warranted? No, I don't know what stuff in this situation is true, what stuff is false, because there's a lot of different narratives going around, and I'm not in a position where I have enough information to make an opinion on whether or not this stuff is true or false, because it's just, there's a lot of different information going around. But regardless, focusing on the main issue at hand, is it fair to steal from anybody? No. Do I think we should be stealing? No. Should people be like trying to like take things from other games and recreate it and putting it out as their own work? Absolutely not. And I do think on the game, like, they did say it's not for profit, and you know, it's just a game that they have and whatever. And there's nothing in the store, but if you go to the group that's attached to this, which is Enchantix High School for Fairies and Mermaids by account, okay, it says account deleted now, so I guess their account was deleted. Not sure. Maybe it was, you know, banned, but it has 8,500 members, which isn't a small Roblox group. Like, it's a decently sized group, and they do have a store where they are directly reselling Night Barbie's mermaid tops for 5 Robux each. I'm not sure how expensive these are, but they do have some favorites on them, so it's not like they haven't been sold at all. I guess on here it says based off Call Me Bob's mermaid top from 2018, drawn by Bon. So I guess this was drawn by somebody else. I take that back. I'm sorry. Apparently this was hand drawn by somebody else. But again, like, if it's based on a shirt from a game and you're recreating it, I don't know how close this is to the actual shirt, but to say you're not making profit from it, but then you're selling assets in the group attached to the game, I don't know. And again, you were making money because people were joining the game and you're getting premium payouts. Is it an astronomical amount? No, it's not. It's not life-changing money, but it is still money. And to say you haven't made a dime off the game, I feel like is disingenuous, because technically you have. You probably have, right? Like, you made at least some Robux, whether or not you chose to dev exit is up to you. But I think to say you haven't made any money at all is a little bit misleading, just in my opinion. And keep in mind, it's just my opinion, right? I can be wrong. But regardless, you know, they do have lots of stuff in their group where they, and on their game, where they talk about how, like, stuff belongs to Royale High and stuff like that. So they aren't necessarily taking credit. But again, that brings me back to my original point. If you weren't making money from the game, why would you care if another game was taking the assets that you copied from another game to make their own game? Because I feel like the only reason you'd be upset about that is if you're making money, because it's then taking people, like potential players, away from your game and directing them to another game. I don't know, I guess maybe it's, you know, stuff maybe they model themselves. I guess it would be disappointing to hear that it was stolen, but if it's, again, based off another game, it's not an original concept, then like, how much can you really be upset by that? Like, I just feel like it's kind of like, there's two sides to every story, and I feel like both sides kind of have some valid points, and both sides have some stuff that definitely isn't correct in my opinion. But anyways, I will let you guys make your own informed decisions and, you know, opinions about the situation based on the information I presented to you. I'd encourage you to go look into this on your own time to kind of see what you guys think. And again, I'm not siding with anybody. I think the situation is very interesting though, because I have heard of this game, and I know it was a game that was really adored by many Royale High players because it brought back nostalgic features of Royale High before it completely changed. So anyways, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Have you guys looked into this? Have you guys ever played this game? What do you think about the situation? And any questions I had during the video, feel free to clear them up in the comment section. I'm always happy to admit when I'm wrong, or if I misunderstood something. It's definitely great to learn from stuff and to understand situations better from people who maybe have a more well-rounded perspective, so feel free to let me know in the comments. And finally, I did want to let you guys know that I did comment the toy code codes from my video yesterday already on that video, so make sure you guys go check your comments, because I did reply to 2 people. I did post the screenshots in my Discord server, but I did blur the people because I don't want people looking for their comments to then steal the codes. So make sure to check your notifications in case I replied to you. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.